Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Snap Podcast. I'm Stephanie,
I'm Rachel.
and this is going to conclude our season one. We wanted to kind of end our first season on a happy note and talk about things that make our inner child smile. So, we are going to start with some questions. Shit, what was I supposed to say after that?
No.
I'm so sorry. I was
You're fine.
Yeah.
We're just gonna go back to the 90s and talk about things that like you said, that make our heart happy. Some things that aren't around anymore that we miss, and some things that have come back around.
Rachel can maybe edit that part out where I fumble. Or we can leave it in. I don't everybody. This is me on a daily basis. Sorry. Not sorry, actually.
Yeah. I have not perfected my editing skills yet, so
That's okay.
maybe for season 2. Bear with us.
Season 2 is gonna be epic. We kind of know a little bit more what we're doing. We've improved a lot from the beginning of this season. And I think we're finally kind of getting our groove. So
Yep.
But I have a new mic. So
I'm so excited for you.
I'm excited too. It's purple.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's my favorite color. I was like, ooh, I want the purple. So, but it works good. I don't know. You want me to start? Are we gonna ask each other questions, or how are we gonna get this
That's fine.
show on?
It's fine.
I know one thing. I don't know. I can't think about like myself as a kid without picturing myself dancing around my basement to Britney music videos. So one thing I do that makes my inner little girl happy is dance around my living room, Britney. Now that I'm an adult, have my own house, dance around and not get laughed at, except by my kids laughing. I like when my kids see me being kind of goofy.
Mm.
So that's one that I need to do it more often. But that's like my one go-to. Do you have a one thing that like kind of like an automatic thing that you do to cheer yourself up when you're stressed and you just need to like revert back to your free childhood moment?
Usually it's just reminiscing.
Yeah.
My grandparents' house was my happy space. It was my retreat. Whatever was going on, it was always, can I go to their house? And the answer was typically yes. But just being there and knowing like anything goes. I was pretty much a good kid, so I really like didn't get in trouble. But like just that was my escape.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I actually lived with my mom and my grandpa when I was a kid. So like my grandpa was my favorite person, and he would just like take me out and do things. We would go out to eat, or if he like had to go do whatever. A lot of the times I would tag along. So that was always fun, just to kind of hang out with my grandpa.
Yeah, mine was kind of the opposite. We stayed at home. My grandpa had poor health. My grandmother, she could drive, but she didn't really like to. And if she wouldn't go more than 5-10 minutes down the road. So if I stayed there and she hadn't cooked or wasn't going to cook, and she asked me, what I wanted to eat, it would have to be, real close distance to her house. But they always made a point to go to this one little dive. It's not even like a diner. They didn't have anywhere to sit, no tables. It was just like no drive-through. You walk in, you order whatever you wanted, and then you would take it home, or if you had a truck, you put the tailgate down. And there was always in the summer, like you'd see the ball teams crowding in their parking lot with the tailgates down, standing around eating their ice cream cones. And so that was always special. They would go and get a couple of different flavored milkshakes and put them in the freezer, knowing that I was coming later that day. And so that was always, that made me feel special that they thought enough about me to go and do that. They didn't have to, but it never failed. Every time I was going to spend the night, they always had those milkshakes.
Aw.
And they would
That's
never eat theirs. Like they would get, so the place only had vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. They would get 2 of every flavor, and they would never eat theirs until I got there and picked whichever one I wanted, even though they always knew I'd go for the strawberry.
That's so thought.
Yeah.
That they did that just in case maybe you would want one
Yeah.
of the other kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never failed.
Aw.
Every single time.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's so. We had this it was like a fried chicken fast food place. It wasn't KFC. It was like a family owned place.
Mm.
And it was away from like where we lived to where the rest of our family lived, because we moved like up north when I was 10. And so we would go down to like visit family, and on our way back home, always stopped there. My grandma loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really good. No offense to KFC, but like it was just.
Yeah.
So yeah, every time I drive past, I think.
Yep. Well, since we're on the topic of food, what is something that you loved in the 90s that they don't make anymore?
Oh wow. I don't know. I think, well, they've brought a lot of stuff back, but
They
have
have.
you noticed it doesn't, a lot of the things they made in the 90s that have come back around just kind of don't taste.
Yeah, I noticed. Like, okay, so mine would be Fruitopia.
Oh,
I
ooh.
loved Fruitopia, and they, to my knowledge, they have not brought that back. They did, however, bring Surge back, and Surge did not taste the same. I was like, okay, you know what? I really don't need it. It's worse than Mountain Dew, but let's, just try it just for nostalgia. And yeah, no, it was not the same.
Do you think maybe either the recipes changed or did our taste buds change as we got older? Because now we're adults, are our taste buds more mature and we just taste things different? Or did they actually change the recipe from what it was?
Maybe a little of both.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. Because I feel like our tastes change too when we get older. That we, even like home cooked meal stuff,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe like we didn't really like as a kid, and then we try it as an adult, and hey, this is actually really good. I was missing out.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid, you're like, I don't want that.
Well, there's a lot of things, and this is not a jab at my mom, but she had a habit of, if she didn't like it and she didn't eat it, she didn't cook it. And so there's a lot of things that I have tried as an adult that I like that maybe I probably wouldn't have as a kid. I mean, I ate a lot of different stuff, and gosh, if you took me, I don't know, do you guys have Shoney's up north? So it's a buffet type place, but you can also order off their menu. And so it was really popular in the South. And again, it doesn't really exist anymore. There might be 1 or 2 here and there. But anyway, they had like this great salad bar. And so instead of ordering like a normal kid chicken tenders or a burger or whatever off the menu, I would always get the salad bar. So even when I was 4 years old, I remember my mom picking me up. Do you want this? Do you want that? And it was yes to everything. And
oh,
so,
wow.
even like raw vegetables, I would eat, broccoli, cauliflower, like the whole thing, onion, I would eat it all. So the one thing that I've had as a child, as an adult, that I still don't like is mushrooms. Cooked, raw, don't care, don't like them. It's not for me.
I will eat them on pizza.
Yeah, no.
And eat them on spaghetti, or like in spaghetti, but I will not eat them raw, like on salads and stuff. I can't, honestly. I can't do raw mushrooms. Yeah. To me. No offense.
No, I've
Anyone out there?
had both. Like I've tried mushrooms in salad, don't like it. Tried mushrooms on pizza, no. I've had like recipes that called for cream of mushroom soup, and I guess maybe subconsciously because I knew that it was in there, I ended up like, no, I don't like this. I've convinced myself that I didn't like whatever it was that was made, just because I think I was in high school. We had to do a project for Spanish class, and it had cream and mushroom soup in the enchiladas, the recipe that the girl chose. And so I'm sitting there and like it's funny, we were recording and we had to like do our dialogue in Spanish, and we were pretending to have a cooking show, and like, so it was so funny because I know I made this face, and the other girl that was doing it with us, she started laughing because I was making a face, and then I started laughing, and it was this whole big deal. But yeah, I just don't like mushrooms.
That's okay.
Yeah. So what is it now? Like the Kool-Aid Burst?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what came before the Kool-Aid Burst? Are you old enough to remember?
I might be, but I'm drawing.
Okay. Squeeze-Its.
Oh, squeeze it! I
Yeah.
know one time, because I was laughing. Something made me laugh right when I took a drink, and that was the first and only time a drink has come out my nose.
That's funny. Okay.
Because it was
So I have a Squeeze-It story too.
yeah, and it was the green squeeze it
Oh,
too,
God.
for anyone out there, the green one.
Ugh. So I went through this phase when I was really little, probably 4 or 5 years old, of putting things where they didn't belong, or okay, like I put a toy in the toilet and flushed it, and the whole thing was, let's see if I can grab it before it actually, goes down. What's really bad about stuff like that. Not that I flushed a lot of things, but just different. Okay, anyway, so I took the Squeeze-It bottle and put it in my dad's tailpipe of his truck. Yeah. I put it in there and I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to get it out. Well, it didn't want to come out, so I got a stick. And I tried to dig it out with the stick, and the more I done it, the further down the tailpipe it went. And so he comes home from work, and my mom's like, okay, tell him what you did. And he's like, oh, God. So I'm like, okay, well, I think it was, I said, that pipe thing on your truck? And he was like, yeah. I was like, well, I put my Squeeze-It bottle in it and it got stuck. I didn't get in trouble. He's like, I'm glad you told me, but if you do it again, you're getting in trouble.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he made me go outside with him. That way I could see what would have happened if he hadn't known. And it shot out of that tailpipe so fast. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's like,
that's worse than it coming out,
coming out of your
for
nose.
sure. Yeah.
No. But yeah. I don't know why. I guess a lot of kids go through that phase of putting things where they don't belong.
Right. Yeah. Just to see, see what happens, see what fits, like puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
See what's together and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can we talk about how disappointing Fruit Stripe gum is, but how cool we thought it was? Like the flavor doesn't last at all. Like 2 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super. But when that's like a thrill.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was a big thing for me.
But flavor for just a little bit and then it's gone. It was, I don't know.
That was an excuse to get another piece.
Yes. Yeah. That too.
My mom's like, half the pack's gone and it's only been a day. What,
Mm-hmm.
No.
Like, but the flavor's gone. I need another one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That was probably, you know what? You know how much more gum they probably sold because of that?
Sure. They probably done it on purpose.
Yeah. That's actually good business. It's not even so much marketing, but that's like good business.
I mean, it's smart.
Mm-hmm. I just thought of that. Yeah. I just know. Yeah, you would have to, if the flavor lasts for a little bit.
Yeah.
Sell.
It's been a long time since I had it. I used to get it for my kids, and I was like, okay, I've not had this in years. Let's just like test this out. And it was the same. Like minute or so, and the flavor was gone. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you remember the Mario drinks? Like the little half can flavored. It wasn't really soda, but it was like, I don't know that you'd call it fruit juice either. But they had like
I don't think
Mario and Luigi, and they had Yoshi, and they were all different colors. I used to beg for those.
I'm trying to picture those. Let me I got my
Google it. Yeah.
I'm gonna Google Mario drink. Oh, I see. You know what? Now that I see a picture, yeah, I don't think I ever actually had one. Oh, why is it showing me pictures of bubbly? That's weird. Okay, yep, I see now.
Yoshi was my
Yeah, Mario
favorite.
soft drinks.
Hmm.
So I would have been really. That's probably why I wasn't. I was turned 4 at the very end of that year. So yeah, I wouldn't have. I was 3 for 99% of that year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been.
I would have been 7.
Yeah, I
And
was
then,
probably juice.
and then the Mickey's Parade popsicles. Do you remember those?
Those. Oh, the Flintstones.
The push-ups, the sherbet push-ups. Mm-hmm. I didn't like
Those
those
were
as well. Mickey's Parade was my favorite.
my aunt had a party store at the end of her street, and she would always walk down there with buy me a couple of the Flintstone push-ups.
Mm-hmm.
They were my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I love getting them. Good stuff.
Yeah. Well,
For sure.
do you want
Yeah,
to
let me look.
move away from the food topic and move on to something else?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm just
So I think the other topic that we can like really talk about all day long is music.
yes.
You know, so we were talking
Ooh.
before about like how old we were when we had or when we saw our first concert, who it was, and
Yeah. Mine Peter Paul and Mary. They did a couple tours in 94 and 95. So it was one of those. And kids 5 and under got in free. So it must have been 94. So that would have been 5.
Mm.
So yeah. And I remember I got like super cold towards the end of the night. So we had to go to the merch booth and my mom had to buy this big sweater. They didn't even have kid sizes. She paid $25 back in 1994 for a Peter Paul and Mary sweater for me to wear. And it was like a sweater dress on me.
Oh gosh.
But I was like, it was in the summer, but it just really cooled off at night. The last little bit of the got super cold. Because it was in a place that it was like an outdoor place. It had like a pavilion and then the lawn. And we were sitting on the big hill on the so it got windy.
Yeah.
Cooled off.
Well, that was like my concert was in June, but it was outside too. Our city, well, they discontinued it, but they, for a long time, like over 30 years, did this outdoor music festival. They had this floating stage on the water. They put it on a barge, and it was massive. And so 1996, I saw Brooks and Dunn.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that would have been a good.
that was the same year they released My Maria, which I didn't know until a couple of years ago that it was a cover.
What?
Yes, that is not their song.
Okay, I was 37 when I found that out.
Yeah.
Just now.
Yeah.
I was today.
We go back and see. Yeah, that song actually was originally released in August of 1973.
By
B.W. Stevenson. Never heard of them before. Yep. But Brooks and Dunn actually won a Grammy for it.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Did the original guy ever win a Grammy?
Oh, I have no idea.
Probably. Awesome. New microphone.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got a little too enthused about this trivia. Went to eat my microphone.
Yeah. But yeah, so my first actual stadium concert was in 2001. It was Kenny Chesney, and
Ooh.
Rascal Flatts and Sarah Evans opened for him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I think it was a sold out show. We were in the nosebleed.
Probably.
Yeah. So, but it was a good concert. Like I really liked all three of them, and I feel like that was still at the beginning of Rascal Flatts' career. They'd only released one album.
My second concert was Hanson on the Albertine tour. And that was a really good summer. So I was 9, 1998. We were on the Albertine tour. I saw them, and then I saw LeAnn Rimes that
Oh,
same
wow.
summer. And then I saw Hanson again on the same tour
Mhm.
because they came back to my state to play at a different place. So I literally got to go to Hanson concert. Great. It was the best summer of my life.
Yeah. You're lucky. I didn't get to see Hanson until 2007, so 10 years after they released Middle of Nowhere.
We were like way back times for Hanson, but with LeAnn Rimes, I was actually in the 12th row.
Oh, wow.
Good, because it was all the first Hanson concert, LeAnn Rimes concert were at the same. Saw Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Okay.
So we were at the Pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hanson came back and played at a different place. And we were a little farther away, but I got to be in the Pavilion though.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But yeah, I was pretty close for LeAnn Rimes. And then the next time I was that close, I think it was for Hanson, and that was in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Hanson 16 times, so
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry for that. I love that.
How
Apologize.
much fan
So
mail?
about like, and then I saw this band, and oh yeah, and this person, and then Hanson again. How my concert track.
How much fan mail did you send them back in the day?
Actually less than you would think. I think I only sent them a couple letters. I sent, maybe I would have got, maybe Zach written my love.
It's funny. I started writing out letters like immediately, and I was in middle school. Okay, so I'm in that awkward phase of transitioning from a child to a teenager, and so I'm like, hey, I have all of this Lisa Frank stationery left over. Just write it on that. And it's so funny, like, as the years went on, I'm like, I'm too old for Lisa Frank. And now it come back, like, you know, when my daughter was I don't know, about 9-10 years old, they brought it back, and I got so excited to see it again. I'm like, oh, I had this and I had that, and the coloring books and the pens and like all this stuff. And I was telling her about how they used to make like the black notebook paper and the gel pens and the milky pens. They were like pastel, and yeah.
I had my first black paper notebook I turned into a scrapbook. And I printed out like a bunch of pictures, like my favorite actors and musicians and stuff. Made like a big scrapbook and wrote like little things around my milk. I should have saved that thing. I filled that thing. Pretty sure I used it.
Yeah.
Good time. They don't make cool stuff like that.
You know, that was the beginning of me and my fascination with office supplies. It started with those crazy pens.
Mm-hmm.
I had to have
You know,
all of them, like all the colors, the metallic, the pastel, like that. Yeah. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. You're right, because that's what started it for me too. Because I was obsessed with like notebooks, having a new set of mechanical pencils.
Yes. The little pencil grips and the cool little erasers. Oh my gosh, the book fairs. I would go just for the pencil grips and the posters and like all the extra stuff and never buy any books unless it was a Goosebumps book. I had, I feel like, almost the whole collection of the Goosebumps books.
For it was the Babysitters Club.
Mm.
I was obsessed with the Babysitters Club. I always identified with Mary Ann just because she was shy. I don't know. People would tell me how shy I was all the time, and Mary shy one. And I feel like it was the same like with them and then the Spice Girls. Like they all had their own like very distinct, vibrant personalities,
Yeah.
and it would gravitate like towards the ones that you identify. So for me, it was Marianne Spear and Ginger. Because I was shy and I had red.
Yeah.
You blend those two together. What a combo.
I also like the American Girl series.
Yes. Oh yeah. I had American Girl stuff. I had one of the dolls because you could get like the historical ones that went along with the stories, or you could get the ones you.
Yeah, I never had
Which
the dolls. I just had like I liked reading the books.
The books were cool too. The books were cool, and I had the one that you could fill in about yourself. Did you ever have that one? They
I didn't
sold
know that
one
that was a thing.
like it had like the square you could like put a picture of yourself on the cover and like write your
Oh,
name.
that's neat.
Could
Yeah.
And then I had the doll that had like the red hair, blue eyes. They all had the same faces, but you could get them with different hair and eye color combinations.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any of the dolls. I just had the one that had the red hair and blue eyes. But yeah, they were cool. So I'm looking at 90s stuff here, and one of the first pictures was well, speaking of music, first, you remember Hit Clips? Because the very first picture that popped up when I googled 90s stuff was Hit Clip.
Yeah, I never had one, but yeah.
Flip them in, they would play like little snippets of songs. And then the second thing it shows is a Tamagotchi. And we were talking about those the other day.
Yeah, I never had one. I had friends that had them, and they would like give them to me for a day, and they'd be so mad, like, you let it, like, you killed it, whatever. You know, I'm like, I'm so sorry.
The
I don't know how this
Tamagotchi
works. You shouldn't have given it to me.
The Tamagotchis were okay, but my thing was Gigapet. They were like upgraded Tamagotchis. You could do more with them, and I had a lot of those. I had the baby one. You could get like a little baby one. Had a koala bear and cat, frog. So I had 4 of them. And then you know what? They brought Tamagotchi for a while. I got one for my kid, and they played with it for a little bit, and then it got like really annoying. We had to get rid of it because it just wouldn't stop going off. Like it wouldn't stop making its little sounds, and like even at night, we were having to like put it away, like go like bury it somewhere for the night.
Yeah.
Because like when it wakes up, I don't know if the old ones were like that, but the new ones, like we could not get it to stay quiet at night. We ended up eventually getting.
No, I would have rather had or did have the Littlest Pet Shop. That was enough for me.
Oh, I never had one of those. I remember that,
Really?
but I never had.
Oh my gosh, I had the cats, I had the hamsters, I think the turtles. Yeah. And then they come out again when my kids were younger, and they looked totally different. They were bigger, but yeah.
Did you ever have Furby?
No. I remember when they came out, and my mom thought they were so annoying, and yeah, no, so I didn't have one.
You know what? Come to think of it, they were worse than Tamagotchi. And I know, well, I had at least heard back then, I don't know if it was true, but people were saying that like they were inspired by the movie Gremlins.
Okay.
And so I was really close to my one cousin that was like close to my age. She was only a year older than me. We grew up like being best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And she was really into scary movies. And my aunt had a copy of that VHS tape, you know.
Yeah.
It was 90. And she was like, "Oh, this is a really good movie. Will you please watch this with me?" And I got so freaked out. I had my Furby for maybe like a month, and I couldn't even sleep with it in my room anymore. And my mom got so mad because that thing was $40. One of the things, like, I genuinely, like, as a parent now, spending money on, like, more expensive toys and stuff, I can't blame her for being frustrated.
Yeah.
Because I literally only had that thing for maybe like 3 or 4 weeks, and I couldn't even, like, I didn't want it anywhere near me after I watched that. Felt bad. But they were kind of creepy.
Is that the first like scary movie that you saw, or like the first one that scared you as a kid?
Yes. If I'm remembering correct, yeah, for sure. Because I was younger when I watched that than I was when I watched The Shining. Because that same cousin and I, friend, were house sitting on New Year's Eve, and this was like, would have been like 3 or 4 years later, and they had both seen The Shining, and I had never seen it. We rented some movies, and they made me watch The Shining, and I was still having nightmares about it. 5 months later,
Oh gosh.
I woke up sleep because I was dreaming. I had a nightmare about that lady in the shower. That was worse. That was the creepiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And yeah, I'd never again. I only watched it that one time. I will never watch it. It's like I respect Stephen King as a creative writer. I have the respect for him because he freaks me out. He freaks me out. And I know, like, one of my favorite movies, going back to when I was a teenager, so like mid 2000s, was Secret Window with Johnny Depp. And that was based on a King novella, but that was more of like a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
And psychological thrillers to me were not scary, actually. So I can handle that. So I can handle the psychological, but not the horror stuff.
I'm gonna have to pause for just a second. I'm sorry. Hang on a second.
Okay.